Today on Let's Wrap.
We work on teaching the kids that they aren't alone, and we teach them more about their bleeding disorder and how to infuse themselves. We start teaching kids to stick themselves in a vein at age 7 and get that independence. And that is an amazing thing.
Tyla Fowlkes is a clinical educator at HPC who started with the company as an infusion nurse. Her personal story helps her relate to patients and patients' families, from day-to-day scheduling to community outreach and summer camps for kids, where she says the real magic happens. Joining us today on Let's Wrap, Tyla Fowlkes, a clinical educator with HPC. Tyla, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, thank you for having me.
You've worked with HPC for about 14 years. Can you talk a little bit about what brought you to the company originally and how your role has sort of evolved?
Yes, so about 14 years ago, actually at an HPC event, both of my boys have severe hemophilia. I'm a carrier. They are now 23 and 14. So this was a long time ago. They were little. We were at an HPC event, and one of the employees we were just talking and chatting about HPC and about us and, how we could get involved in the community. And then he found out I was a nurse too. So hemophilia mom and nurse, double whammy, and said, hey, would you be interested in talking to us more about coming to work and helping out other families with hemophilia? So after that, we talked, and, I found out more about what HPC did, going into the home, infusing patients and teaching other families how to infuse their children. Obviously, as a mom, that's a big thing to me. So took that leap, started out as just a home infusion nurse, covered a lot of territory back then, and then did exactly that. We went into the homes, did home infusions, when possible, teaching the parents how to infuse their own children, which was wonderful and just very rewarding. Over the years, I've just held various different positions throughout the company, just doing different things. And then now, for the past 6 or 7 years, been the clinical educator for the company. So basically what I do now is I make sure that everybody in the company is as educated as possible on hemophilia, on any bleeding disorder, on immune deficiencies, any type of chronic medical disorder that we take care of.
You have quite a personal connection to hemophilia. How has that benefited the patients and the many people you work with, because you have personal experiences that you can share with them and you have an understanding not everybody has?
Yeah, that really is what made me take that leap. The fact that, I've always wanted to give back. Me and my family are very involved in our local community in bleeding disorders, and some nationally as well. And that's always been a big thing of, I want to give back as much as I can. So when I saw an opportunity that I could give back as a mom and as a nurse, that just really meant a whole lot to me. Going into the home in my early days, and even now, talking to patients or helping with nurses, but going in there and they know my story, they know I live it. That gives them a whole different level of trust in who's taking care of them.
Do you, in a sense, become part of their family too?
Oh yeah. I've got some of my friends in the hemophilia community are people that I have taken care of. Obviously, there is a line you have to draw, but I also see these people at community events as well within our foundations and within the hemophilia community. So you do become like family. You are with them a lot. And again, they trust you to help take care of their child and help teach them these things when they're, good and bad times.
Your sons are now 23 and 14. What kind of advice do you give maybe moms that are new to hemophilia or families who are new to a diagnosis?
Oh gosh. So number one, it'll be okay. You're going to survive. May not feel like it sometimes. I still have moments and that I absolutely, things are horrible and I need someone. As long as I've been living this, I need a friend or a nurse within the community or a nurse at HPC to help me through it, but you will survive. Let them live their life, do it safely, learn as much as you can. Learn that hemophilia is a part of your life, but it is not your whole life. It is a part of them, but it is not all of them.
14 years that you've worked with the company, and also I'm sure over the course of both of your sons' lives, what kind of progress have you seen being made, with hemophilia treatments and for those dealing with hemophilia?
There's been a whole lot in just simply the way that the children from my oldest to my youngest, the aggressive treatment that they take with a severe patient on their what's called prophylaxis, their regular scheduled infusions. With my oldest, they did not do it. They did not start prophylaxis treatment until they were older. So he has joint damage that my youngest son does not have. But when my youngest one came along, they already had progressed and were doing more aggressive treatment than they used to. Now we have a sub-Q therapy. Not everyone is on that, but there's a sub-Q therapy available for hemophilia patients that where they don't have to do an IV infusion every other day or 3 times a week or twice a week. So that has been a big game changer in the hemophilia world.
How encouraging is that, especially for kids who want to be able to do the same things, their peers are doing, participate in a lot of the same activities?
Oh, it's great. Well, now with the treatment that they have right now, they can still do safely. They can still do as other children can, depending on each patient, depending on each child. But when my oldest was 3, we went to a meeting and they said gene therapy is coming within 10 years. Well, he's 23 years old. And now that's been quite some time. And gene therapy literally is in for FDA approval right now, the first gene therapy. So the fact to see that is coming in whatever form it's going to take, whether it be one injection for a year or 2, the fact that these children will not have to look at a portacath or have to infuse in a vein is just wonderful, amazing.
You talked a little bit about working in the community at camps. I know you've been very involved in some of the summer camps for kids. Can you talk about that process and what does it mean to you to be able to go and meet with kids, meet with families, and just have involvement even outside of your day-to-day work?
So, yeah, I have been a camp nurse now for about 12 or 13 years. I first got started, one of our camp directors here nearby asked me, they had some changes going on and said he really needed a good, strong hemophilia nurse. So I jumped on board and I just got addicted to it ever since. So I have now worked as a camp nurse for 2 camps across the country every summer. And then I also do some volunteer outdoor programs for adult hemophilia patients or bleeding disorder patients as well throughout the year. And throughout those programs, we work on teaching the kids that they aren't alone. And we teach them more about their bleeding disorder and how to infuse themselves. We start teaching kids to stick themselves in a vein at age 7 and get that
Wow.
independence. And that is an amazing thing.
What do you see when the kids are around other kids, meeting other kids from other parts of maybe the state or the country?
Oh gosh, they're just amazing. These kids just amaze me every time, every camp year. To see that they're not alone is wonderful. They see each other, somebody else with a port scar on their chest, or they see somebody else now having to infuse. It may be a child that maybe 10 years old and said, I'm never going to do this by myself. But then he sees one of his cabin mates and he's infusing and says, oh, I guess I'll try that. And ends up infusing by the end of the week. Most camps also have staff. A lot of the staff have a bleeding disorder themselves. So they get to see people that live with it every day. I always said when both of my children have grown up in camp since they were 7, when my oldest went to camp, as upsetting as that was as a mom, as hard as it was as a mom, I always said that they would learn more in 1 week from all of those guys than they could from me in a lifetime.
Very powerful. When you go to one of the camps and come home, what do you get out of it?
Oh, it's it's like I sometimes say it's like a week of therapy because we're out here and we're out in nature. It is a week of just magical occurrences throughout the entire week. We get to see these kids outside of their daily possible bubble at home. We all have, we have the medical staff there and we all take the good, safe precautions. So they live like regular children throughout the week. And to sometimes see those kids out of what we know as potentially bad environments or just they don't normally get to do all this stuff just because of where they live maybe or what have you. And to see them so happy and getting to do these things throughout the week, to see the pride that they take when they learn something new, even if it's an archery or to swim, things like that. It's just magical. That's what we all just at the end of every week, every year at all my camps. It's just, wow, this was just magical. That's about the best I can wrap it up today.
What do you find are some of the biggest misconceptions about hemophilia for those who, have not had contact with someone or have never known someone?
Oh, they think they're going to bleed to death. They think they're going to get a cut and bleed to death. That they cannot do anything at all like a regular child. That they have to be just put in a bubble and have be able to do nothing. And they say, "Oh, that poor thing." Still to this day, we get that. "Oh, this is horrible. That's horrible." And I say, it's there are hard times, but no, this is not a death sentence. They're not going to bleed to death. They can. Both of my children played baseball. One of them still does. He's still in high school. My other one is athletic and works out every single day. So they are still like normal kids and we survive it. It is, again, a part of us, but it is not all of them.
We hear about HPC's wraparound care model. You're a big part of that. How do you think that ultimately benefits the patient when it's more than a treatment? There are so many other things that are a part of the offering.
HPC is so special because of that. Just getting the medication for any chronic medical disorder, just getting it infused, there's just so much more to a chronic medical disorder than just that. There's so many facets that can become difficult day in and day out or just pop up here and there. So we have our pharmacy who is very knowledgeable about our bleeding disorders, about immune deficiencies, any other conditions we take care of. They want to make sure that all the patients and the nurses have what you need in the home to be infused and get your medication, as well as making sure that it's working like it's supposed to.
What kind of final thoughts of encouragement would you like to share with families dealing with hemophilia?
I would just say take a good look at the services that can be provided for you to help take care of you and know that there are people out there that can help make life as easy as possible for you during difficult times, because there are difficult times, but then there are better days. And then those people can help and be there to help rejoice for those better days. Stay involved in the community. Some of my best friends in my life come from the hemophilia community right now across the country. And stay involved, stay educated, and just, again, make sure that you're living the best life for you and your family, and then it's just a part of you. It's not all of you.
Tyla Fowlkes, HPC Clinical Educator, thank you so much for joining us today on Let's Wrap.
Thank you.
You've been listening to HPC's Let's Wrap, a podcast by HPC Specialty Infusion for patients and providers. We're proud to specialize in patient health and happiness at hpcspecialtypharmacy.com or call 1-800-757-9192.